I almost keep giving it up.
51%. That literally is 51%, you know that for a fact,
Yeah.
are non-owner occupied.
Yeah.
Yeah, that surprises me.
Yeah, it went from 40 to 40, since I've been there, it was 40 when we did it. Which is really problematic because you can't even make voting changes.
Yeah, no, that's not a healthy,
And it shows.
environment.
And it shows. I mean, so being on the board, I've gotten to see some of the problems and some of the financial challenges. And, it's not easy. 51% rental is too high.
You know, I think there will be over the next few years, you'll see a swing. I don't think townhouse developers who've been pumping out these townhouses in the low 300s, 3-story townhouses, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garages, close in, they're not gonna keep doing it.
They can't.
They
They already are not doing it. I mean, all the newer stuff is 450, 600, not.
Well, I don't know if it'll go that high, but it'll go up high enough that
Not there.
that River Run will be a desirable location, even though it doesn't have a garage.
Right.
That's, one of the major hindrances. So until that price, I feel like that price for what the builders are doing now gets up in the high.
I believe in new builds.
I'm talking about new builds. When they get up in the mid to high 3s, River Run, there should be plenty of units in the mid to high 2s.
Yeah.
And those should become pretty attractive to young millennial buyers.
Well, I think part of the rental problem going on there, in fact, it's like the best deal in town. Nobody wants, people that bought it for 152
Don't want to
have a
have
great deal and they're renting it now for $1,800. And they have lines of people waiting for the rentals because where else are you going to rent 3 and 4 bedrooms and 4 baths and trails on a golf course for $1,800.
That's River Run's getting a little higher, isn't it? It depends on where, depends on where. In the Marion Green area, it's looking a little higher, sure.
Yeah, 25, 30 years old, so the roads and the curves, and we spent a lot of money on tree work, just saying, and,
keep it in budget.
it's not easy. It's not easy. The financial challenge has a lot to do with the name of the property.
Right.
It's not yet getting tired. I mean, I thought it was going into some. You said that?
Yeah,
He
he did.
came in.
Yeah, I think he's done. What about, who knows what's going on at the corner of Polo Ground Road? And what is that whole complex? I was talking to, pardon me?
All around.
And there's supposed to be a whole development. Right over
okay.
there. Yes, thank you. So what is that going to entail? Do you know? Is it a single family? Is it a mixture?
Mixture.
Mixture of
So
everything.
have commercial off of 29,
Uh-huh.
and you'll have a new entrance. So you'll have a new entrance into that site. It's a big site. I forget exactly how many acres, but it's been, that property's been held by a family for a long time.
Right.
A lot of people have tried to buy it, now Capshaw Group has bought it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, I had a friend ask me the other day who lives in Belvedere, and she said, what is going on there? I said, I know it's, but I don't know.
yeah, so it'll be a big mixed-use community with, I think, a pretty good sized commercial. I'm sure a significant multifamily component, and then a bunch of houses.
It's what they're building in Northern Virginia and Maryland, some commercial,
Yeah.
business. They're actually working pretty well, I think. Do you know what's going on with the property on Ryle Road across from the waterports? I think it's under contract.
It is under contract. It's a developer out of the beach, whose name I'm familiar with, but I can't think of their name, and they're multifamily. So it'll be, if they get it done, it'll be a pretty good sized multifamily project, 20-some acres. It'll be, it could be 400 units.
28 acres, yeah.
Wow. So certainly, that would develop at a pretty high density.
Rental or townhouse?
I would assume it would be rental. I think that's what that company does, but I don't honestly know. Yeah, I talked to John Connell, who was the realtor involved, and he told me who it was, but he didn't, I'm sure there needs to be a rezoning for that to happen, because I don't think that's zoned for multifamily. So,
It was farmland before. That's-
Well, but, you know, when the county did, back in the, kind of 1980, 79, 80, when they instituted zoning in the county, they assigned a bunch of zoning to areas like that. And those became typically R4, R6 unit, you know, so, you know, all of that, Delmora was zoned, Belvedere was zoned, I mean, all that stuff had zoning, that the county gifted it, if you will, back in the day.
Right.
Mhm.
All right, I think we're set.
Like your watch fan.
Yeah, thanks, I had that for Christmas. My daughter, it was nice to do that, and of course, I had no clue that you could change them. They're interchangeable. There's like a little magnet that you press and it slides and it comes right off. And she was pretty mortified when she.
You might not want to say that out loud,
Sorry.
that you didn't know you.
Some people change their things every day.
Yeah, yeah, so. but
Even my wife.
I'll tell you,
she-
yeah, what I really shouldn't say, but because I'm so vulnerable, I'll say it anyway, is she's pretty mortified by how cruddy it was, because I had it, I think since a year ago when they gave me the watch for Christmas. And I'd never gone in there and cleaned it out. And she said, boy, I'm really glad I offered to do this for you, Dad. So, might move that way just a little bit, just so we make sure. You don't need that, but just actually make sure the camera. All right, so, business planning, kind of a threefold type of scenario. Catherine and Michael, I know you guys aren't going to be able to go to Keith's thing next week, but I think he's going to, for folks like yourself who could make it, I think he's going to try to do something else to kind of do sort of a summary of it, because a lot of what we're going to talk about today is leading into what he's going to do. We sort of had this conversation, and he really wants to take a time where somebody, you go in there and you literally, when you leave there, you'll have a business plan in place, which is great. That's never been my intent in regards to the way I teach it, because I like folks to kind of do it their own way and whatever, but a number of people signed up, so that's great. All I'm really going to do today is we're going to just conceptually talk about what it means to set goals, what it means to have a business plan, go into a little bit of the things so that folks who are there next week will get into. But at the end of the day, the last page of this thing is all I'm going to ask for you to send back to me at some point. Well, not some point, by January 11th, which is just so you, when you do your own thing or you go through Keith's thing, that at the end of the day, you'll be able to talk about how many listings you're expecting in, actually, you should say 2019, you know, how many listings will sell, how many buyer controlled sales you're expecting, and then that'll give you a number of properties, and you figure out average sales price, and that'll give you your volume as to what you're thinking about in regards to 2019. That volume, as to what you're thinking, ultimately will get you to the kind of amount of money that you want to earn. So you can go one way or you can go the other way. So in other words, let's say you want to earn $75,000 next year, or get gross commissions of $75,000. Well, $75,000, depending on your average sales price, right? Depending on your average sales price, you would have to sell more or less homes. So if I take, as an example, I'll do this off the top of my head for a minute. If I take $300,000 average sales price, which is basically what we have, and I sell 10 of those, 10 of those is $3 million, right? Multiply that by 3%, might be a little bit less because some commissions may be a little less, but let's say 3% is $90,000 in gross commission. Wait a minute, 300,000 times 10, 3 million, yeah, 90,000. And if you're at a 60%, 55, 65, 60% split, that's $50,000 to $54,000. So that means if I want to make 75, I'm going to have to sell, off the top of my head, I have to sell 15 homes. Now, probably not 15, because once you hit a gross, a fair market, a fair share of $35,000 in company dollar, you then go to 85%. So somewhere around 2.5 million, that's where you get that. You hit that 35,000, which makes you 85%, which then, of course, from then on through the commission year, you're really working on more of a, as an average in the company, the agents make 72% of every dollar. The company keeps 28%. That's an annualized number, okay? So anyway, the point being is, if you want to make $75,000, that was just off the top of my head, you're probably between 10 and 15 sales. 10 or 15 sales, that's, depending on what you're doing, that's pretty realistic. It's 1 or 2 a month. And once you get things up and running, that should be a fairly realistic, goal to set. But for some of you, you won't set that goal for 2019. You'll set it lower because of kids or other situations or whatever it is. Figure out colleges, whatever the situation is. You may, and some of you may set it higher. You may say, no, I'm going to go for 2 a month, which means that at 24 times 3, you follow what I'm saying. So what we're doing today is we're kind of talking about the overall business plan, and as won't come as any surprise to you, the overall business plan from my standpoint is not just about business. It's about life and about balancing having a balanced perspective on it. That doesn't mean that you're not shooting for your goals. It means that you're shooting for your goals but keeping balance. And whether you go with the Buffini method of that, where you've got the 5 circles and you're trying to balance those things, or whether you have other ways of doing it. Iona came in yesterday as an example, after having been in Connecticut with her new little grandson, excuse me. Sorry if you're listening. Grandson. And she said, how do you do it? I said, how do I do what? How do you invest yourself in your family like you do with all the grandkids and stuff, and then just come right back in here and are focused on what needs to be done here? I don't know, I guess maybe years of practice. Oh, hello there. Was just talking about you.
That's why my ears were ringing.
Yeah, so don't sit right there because we're going to watch you out. Why don't you move this way, Captain, and then you can sit kind of. Well, 2 of them are here. 3 of them are other places. So, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. I was just talking about you coming in yesterday going, how do you do it? And in regards to balance, in regards to, and I think the way I do it, and one of the things I do, totally off topic here, but it hopefully sets the stage. One of the things I do, I'm always asking Dottie, how am I doing with this? Am I giving you enough time? Am I giving the kids enough time? Am I doing, and she's sort of my accountability partner, if you will. Where she'll say, I think you need to think about stepping off a couple of things, or no, I think you're doing great. So anyway, I'm hoping that through this morning, I'm going to get you to that place of thinking about what you want your life to look like in 2019, so that you can reach your business goals, whether it's $75,000 or more than that, or whether it's $40,000 or $25,000. It doesn't matter. And that's one of the things about Roy Wheeler. It doesn't matter. People say to me, what are the minimum standards of Roy Wheeler Realty? And I said, there aren't any. And they said, well, why isn't it? I said, because everybody that walks through this door is their own business. And they have to run their business in the way they want to run it, whether they want to be small business, medium-sized business, large business. Our job is to create a culture and environment that allows you to do that. The only thing that I have found over my years in this business by having that philosophy is I don't have to think about minimum expectations, because the minimum expectation, if it is your business, if it's Catherine Tinky real estate business, if revenue doesn't exceed expense, at some point you go, maybe this isn't for me, right? It's just like any business. Zazu's, as an example. Interesting enough, I just saw the gal who started Zazu's years ago and sold it to the guy that had it. And she's back in town, and we were just kind of talking about things. I said, what went wrong? And she said, he was a great restaurateur, but he wasn't a good business person. And basically, he bought shiny signs, and he reupholstered the chairs when they didn't need to be reupholstered, and he got bigger TVs, and he did all these different things, and the revenue didn't exceed the expense. And so he ended up, whether he went out of business or he sold it, I'm not exactly sure, but supposedly the head, whatever you call it, at Dollar Market, took it
It's
on.
on, yeah, they got it from
Okay,
there,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so now it's opened up as Pico's, with the same menu, basically. what I
Much
understand.
smaller.
Oh, is
It is smaller than we went the other night.
Okay, I haven't been there. So, with that, we open this up, and the first thing that you're gonna see here is a couple pages of just giving you an idea of what we're trying to do as it relates to this. Oh, I'm sorry, sure. What we're trying to do, as it relates to goal setting and business plan. I'm just gonna go through this really quick to give you an idea, and then we'll go into things in detail. Obviously, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Difference between desire and action is results. Setting goals. Setting goals give a direction for action. Things that are needed for success, a goal, a plan, a commitment. We're going to dig into those things. Make them specific, make them big but achievable, break them down into monthly, weekly, even daily goals. Measure your progress on a regular, weekly basis. One of the things I would add to this, which I didn't but will, is have an accountability partner. Have somebody that you're telling, hey, this is what I'm going to try to do this year. And as we walk along together, I'd appreciate you asking me how I'm doing with that. As an example, when I taught this class last month, one of the things I talked about was that I have a goal of writing a book this year, kind of a business devotional type of book. My goal, just going to show how it works, my goal is to write a day. I write one per day. So at the end of 2019, the book's written. 365 pages of thoughts and inspiration and motivation and that kind of thing. And I think for me, I think I just got to get it out there and write it. But I also think there's a place for it out there in the marketplace. I'm not talking about New York Excel or anything, but I think there are people that could take this and it could really be helpful to them in the way they live their life. So my goal is one per day. Guess what today is? January 3rd. I haven't written one yet. All right. But I'm leaving for Florida on the 6th. And I'm going to be gone for X amount of time. And I'm committed to when I come back, that I will be launched into it. And I'm hoping that once I start doing it, it'll just start to work, right? But anyway, telling you that, and I told the folks last month that because I want you to make notes of that. How's it going? And if it gets written in 2019, that's great. If I get all 365 done in 2019, great. If it takes me till June of 2020. I was listening to David Murata. Anybody know David Murata? He was on Rob Schilling show the other morning, and I'm usually on WINA on my phone, my radio. To be perfectly honest, don't mind to say, not a big fan of Rob. Not that I don't agree with him. I actually agree with him a fair amount. I just, in my own way, I don't like the way he goes about communicating things. But in this situation, he was talking to David Murata about making goals. And one of the things that David Murata said was just act like you're going to do it. So if you want to go back to school, just start, today, just going in and putting applications in, or, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like Mel Robbins, okay? If you haven't been around when we've talked about Mel Robbins, Google her. Mel Robbins, 54321 is her thought process. And basically what it is she was in a really major place of depression and had a lot of stuff go wrong. Long story being made very short. And one morning, when she knew she had to do things, but she wasn't, she could hardly get out of bed. She had kids, the whole thing. One morning she just said, what would happen if I just counted down from 5? And at 5, I launched myself out of bed. And that's what she did. As it turned out, there's this whole medical, psychological scenario of counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because you're programmed to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That it changes something in your brain and it causes you to just get started. And now she's this, nationally renowned, probably internationally renowned, motivational speaker. She's written a book and been on CNBC. Is that what she was a featured person on CNBC? Anyway, 5, 4, 3, 1. The whole point is exactly what I'm saying. Just do, just Nike, just do it. Just, okay, I'm going to do this. I haven't done, okay, I'm just going to write a note. And I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So anyway, accountability partner. Those are set goals. I'm sure you've heard this before. The study by Harvard University, 14% of all adults have specific goals. I think that's high, to be perfectly honest. 3% has specific written goals, 14% make 3 times more money than those with no goals, the 3% make 10 times more money than those with no goals. Business planning, this won't come as a surprise to you. I think about it as a roadmap to reaching your goal. You know, we've got this whole roadmap for success that we've created over the last year or two that is in the Dropbox and hopefully is giving you information. As an example, one of the things I'm going to do is the whole thing called business planning and roadmap for success. I'm going to have Megan take this out and I'm just going to replace it with this one. It'll be updated to where we are. We'll add stuff that Keith's doing next week. Movement mortgage did a class a couple weeks ago on make 2019 your best year ever. I actually have that handout someplace. Yeah, I have that handout. If you're interested in getting it, just email me and I'll send it to you. It's just another way to look at it. And everybody thinks about things differently. So you may hopefully get some things out of what we're doing this morning. He's going to be much more specific and intentional. That may be more your cup of tea, or just look at the movement water stuff and fill out that may, the number. Anyway, trying to give you a number of different ways of going about doing it a way that works for you. It defines how you plan to reach your goal, which is a strategy. Defines what activities you're going to do, which are the actions, obviously. Components, goal, objectives, action items, and we'll talk more about that as we go through this. This is just an example of what I just talked about. If your goal is $100,000, $200,000 in gross commissions, 3%, volume, average sales price, 44 units, 2 transactions a month, number of active clients I need, prospects I need to meet per month, prospects I need to meet per week. That's just boom like that, okay? This is not a good number because one, nobody's at 50%, and one, again, once you get to 2.5, you're gonna be at 85%. So just work the numbers that way, knowing that. Objectives, I think farming a specific geographic farm is something to consider. I definitely think you should be farming your sphere of influence, which is just regularly contacting your sphere of influence, people that you know, people that care about you, people that think, they're people that would want to help you. Referrals, conduct open houses. I think, again, if I'm starting this business, I'm holding open houses at least a couple times a month. And in time period between the open house and the next one, I'm prospecting for more business using the open house. And again, maximizing open houses in the roadmap for success, and we'll be doing training on that. And don't forget, you can go to the YouTube channel and all these things are there. If you go to our YouTube channel and go back, and you can find the archive. As you all know, every time I teach, it's different. I've come up with new things and that kind of thing. So some of the things that you watch from a year ago, it's still really good building block stuff. But as an example, a couple weeks ago, we talked about open house during the holidays and did this thing on how to prospect for business over the holidays. And one of the things that I came up with in my head was December 30th would have been a great day to hold an open house. Because Christmas had already been there earlier in the week. New Year's wasn't here yet. People were looking for things to do. But I didn't think about that soon enough, so most people had already made plans and things like that. But Megan did an open house on that Sunday, and she got great traffic through it. Anyway, conduct open houses. I think at least a couple of a month, maybe even 3. If you're going to do 3, I would do 2 that are really trying to generate business for you right now. The third one would be putting yourself in a place where you want to be in the future. So what I mean by that is you may be, average sales price is $300,000. If we've got a house that's in a good location and it's priced right, I want to hold that house open so that I can get a lot of buyers in. Hopefully some of them don't have agents that I can start working with. But one open house a month, let's say here's $300,000. I'd really like to be in the $500,000 price range. Well, one of my open houses would be in that $500,000 price range. So that I start doing something on a regular basis and start working with people in that scenario. Your situation may be one time a month, it would be a Glenmore open house, because ultimately that's kind of what you want to do. But other open houses might be in other areas that bring activity. Referrals via sphere of influence, talked about that. Desk duty, it's hit or miss with that, but there's stuff that does come in there. We try to make it as easy as possible for you with that, because you've got staff here that answer the phones. You can do other stuff. the one thing I would say about this is if you're gonna do that, be prepared for it. That's where previewing comes in, that's when understanding the market comes in, because if somebody calls you on a particular property and it's not the one they want, all they're trying to do is get the information. Most people, interestingly enough, statistically, they call a rural house out, they don't call it, they don't think that's really gonna be a house they're gonna be interested in. They're just gonna find out that it doesn't have 4 bedrooms, or it's, on a busy street, or whatever. So if you've got information and you're developing a conversation with them by answering their questions with a question, and they find out that that's not the right house, by previewing and knowing tomorrow, you say, well, you know what? It sounds like the house over on Millmont would be a better house for you. Have you looked at that one? No, I haven't. I want to tell you a little bit about it. And now it's a different story. It's not just a yes or no, get off the phone. It's, oh, that sounds like, well, great. What would be a good time that we might be able to go see it? Or come in and talk about it.
Michael,
yeah.
on the very top where you have outlined the preview, the business plan example, you have the goal of $100,000 in gross commissions.
Right.
Should this be the example that you have down?
What I mean by gross commission is to you.
Okay.
So that's why it says
That's
200,000 in gross and then 100,000 in net, because this is based on a 50% number. I just was trying to make it as simple as possible.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Are you following?
Yeah.
Right, so I have to get 200,000 in gross commissions for me to have a gross commission. When I'm talking about gross commissions, before I'm paying any taxes or, those kind of things. It's what I actually get on my 1099. Okay, does that answer the question? Okay, great. Action items, you can look at those. These are, different things. Some of these things you're gonna want to do, some of them won't, but again, just ways of having action items on a monthly basis that then you can boil down to weekly and daily. All right, so that's just kind of a sort of a real quick, off the top sort of thought process. Now we're going to kind of get down dirty and effective in a business planning exercise. What I want you to do just for the next 10 minutes or so is I've given you the next several pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 pages, basically just, and you've probably already done this to an extent, but just for the next 10 minutes, just write down goals that you want to see happen in 2019. Not just business. It could be, it could be working out. It could be running a 10-miler. It could be those kind of things. But also just spend some time just writing down. I don't care what they are. I just want you to write some things that that you just get your mind thinking about what 2019 is going to look like. For those of you that are online, Chris sent out the handout to you a little while ago. So, hey, good morning, Mike. 10 minutes just working through sort of goals we have for 2019, not just personal but business. Just sit right there.
I'll see that.
Hi, Mike.
Bob,
Happy New Year.
hello.
I think you're
Good
correct.
to see you.
I guess this is planning 101, it's name on time, right?
You were definitely there.
We're making a grand entrance.
That's it.
How's your granddaughter?
Pardon
How's your granddaughter?
me? So,
Son?
he's doing wonderful.
You did?
Amazing. That's
You're
why
up
I
in
was,
Connecticut?
I was in Connecticut, yeah. So I have to be very honest and tell you that reconnecting with the real world is becoming challenging.
Maybe coming back.
Oh, yeah.
That comes with grandparents, I think.
I guess a lot of people want to go, but I couldn't believe it, so. But you all can help me get there now.
There's that lose 30 pounds again.
After Logan, she's already done
12 to 15.
Where's it coming from? Just
it.
How am I doing it?
She did.
I'm in that intermittent fasting.
Oh, I think that's
Well, I'm
amazing.
saying that's like-
No, he's-
No, I,
You're gonna-
She may be the other way.
No, that's what I've already lost.
she's very
Yeah.
disciplined. You work out this one.
I did. It was there at 5:30.
How much have you lost?
Probably about close to 15 pounds.
Even if it was not.
Right. I don't know what it was. I mean, I'm in clothes now that I couldn't wear last year. Like, that was 6 months ago, I couldn't.
There is no way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited because I can wear all my skirts now.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
So
you.
you're more into getting fit, and obviously don't need to lose weight. so.
Well, I did. Now it's just maintaining and staying there, but I've worked out for many years. It's just part of my everyday routine.
I have to tell you that just losing 2 or 3 pounds. is a heck of a lot better.
Oh, absolutely.
I came back
First week
on
I felt incredible.
Saturday, and I started trying to get discipline again after eating.
I love the philosophy of all these thin people, right?
Well.
Yeah, in 3 pounds means like going
I'm
down
sure
shell.
I get that.
So
Yeah.
It's a good time.
I don't even know.
Go to the bathroom.
No, my resolution is to stay off craft beer.
Well, the alcohol does it.
Stack right on.
Yeah, I don't drink, and I don't, that helps. I eat very healthy.
There you go.
Well, it's inspiration.
It's not easy. I don't know about you guys, but I find it very difficult.
Oh, come on.
No, I've never been in a situation to, let your mind wander what you'd love to do one day, except for like 1 or 2 things.
Spend my time with my
Or spend more time before they're gone.
No, yeah, I think the former. Tell me, since you're my resident expert, I want an education goal. So I have to really kind of ramp up my first year, I forget, it's like 30 hours, I think I gotta do. And so that's a pretty significant goal, just the minimum goal.
Uh-huh.
But what would be, what have you found in your years that, I ultimately want to work my way toward a broker's license. But that one is probably a little more, that's a 3-year, right? I've only been licensed for 6 months, so I'm 2.5 years away. And
So you're on your way.
I'm on my way, and I'll start to do my basics, which is, again, significant. What about some of these other programs? We've done Buffini, I like that. There's, what is it, CR?
I have to say, I can't speak to anybody else, but Michael, have you been meeting? ADR, EPRO, the designation, the designation process. And Michael's teaching the GRI class, which is the graduate school.
I was saying I want to have an education goal as part of my business plan. And while I recognize the first year I've got a pretty significant hurdle just on the minimum, right? But I also was just asking, one of my bigger challenges in this business is variable. All of the stuff that comes in. But, there's a lot of resources and a lot of options. And for the uneducated, it can be hard to navigate that and not, hey, I missed out, should I do that? Next one is all day, so, but you also want to keep improving, and as I said, I want to work so kind of have that as a target. And so I was just asking, what is GRI the best option?
The reason I would choose GRI for some of the year is that not only you take the GRI, but you get 6 hours credit, CE or PL credit. So again, the arduous hours of PL. Check with, you can go on varealtor.com into the GRI site, and it will tell you which classes check the box for continue ed and post license. You have to be careful because some of them don't. Some don't check the PL, right? But the ones that do, now you've taken a module GRI, right? But you've also done X amount of hours of your PL at the same time. And the way I did it, you don't have to do it my way, obviously. But I went GRI first, broker second. People say, oh, you should get your CRS, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, I'm going to get my GRI. They wanted me to get CRS after GRI. I said, no, I'm going to get my GRI, and I'm going to get my broker's license. But that was because I knew myself well enough I wasn't going to sell, I was going to manage. So I wanted to get my broker's license as quickly as I could, so that at the 3-year mark, if it was the right time, I could jump off into the sales manager side, and that's exactly what happened. I did 3 years, passed my broker's license, I was a sales manager. Was still selling at that point, but then realized that wasn't effective. And so then I went to another company where I moved to Virginia to do this, where I could manage it, just be paid to be interest. So for me, GRI was great because the sooner you take GRI, it's a lot of basic information, right? Therefore, why PL credit and that kind of thing. The longer you're in the business, there's just information you've already heard. Whereas if you do it sooner, it's fresher and you can use it.
I think there is looking back, I think I should have done the same thing because I was the other way. ADR, broker, EPRO, whatever all the designations that I did afterwards. Because right now it's like, it's already,
Yeah.
it's really relevant.
Right.
So you go on the VAR.
Yes.
Virginia Realtor. The other thing I would say is again, just me talking, Michael Guthrie comment GRI. That means nothing to the consumer. But it means everything to another realtor. It says that guy has gone through and done X to get that designation, right? And nothing wrong with ePro, nothing wrong with ADR, but from a working with other agents and get, again, building rapport, gaining credibility, showing you care, we talk about all the time. That GRI gains you credibility with other realtors because it says you've gone to that. So, and CRS is great, CRB, they're great. They're all good designations, but that, for me, that's what I would do if I was a brand new agent because I'm double edging it. I'm getting 2 things for one. All right, so you've done that, and take that and use it however you want to use it. I will tell you this, two things that I thought about as you're doing that. One is, what you just did, and what you've already done probably before, by writing those things down, if you don't look at those again, some of them are gonna happen just because you've now put your mind into the fact that that's gonna happen. I've been amazed when I've done stuff and then gone back later on and say, what do you think about that? Here I am. The second thing is going back to the balance thing and monthly, weekly, daily goals. Things are going to get in the way. So going back to what I said before about me writing a book and starting and doing it, one segment at a time. New Year's Day was the day I was going to do that. Didn't have anything really going on, whatever. Well, it turned out that was the day that I wanted to de-Christmas the house. And so we had a great day. We got it all done. She feels great because the house is back to, norm. But I spent several hours that day that I wasn't really planning that to be the case. Totally, it was the right thing to do. The priority was the right thing. Versus, I'm going to write. So I'm becoming a writer. But the point being is, there are going to be things that get in your way and will stop you getting something done that day that you wanted to. That's why it's so important to have daily, monthly, weekly, daily, because you can look and move those to another, scenario. They don't go away. They just don't get on paper until they get accomplished. And, there are a lot of different, ways of doing that. Kate Ryan is probably the person that I talk about the most with that before she leaves work every day, she has a list of what she's going to do tomorrow. So that she doesn't have to think about it when she goes home. She already knows what the plan is tomorrow. And she draws a line between 5 and 6, if there are 10 of them. She draws a line right in the middle. And the things above it have to be done in the morning. Because if she gets done in the morning, that totally motivates her, puts the air behind, wind behind my back to finish the day strong. However you want to do it, it's totally up to you. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just want you to, this is something, a talk I've given and have continued to give in a number of different places about what is your purpose. Another way of looking at this is what are you building? Purpose is more than a job or a scenario that you think is right. You are living with purpose as a mentality. We can achieve our purpose in any scenario if we trust the plan and who created the plan in the first place. All right? So if you put together a plan and you trust the fact that you put it in place with the help of others, then you can trust the fact that it's going to happen. Former UVA student football player said, our purpose has no power until it's shared with people. It's not ever about us. Live, love, serve. Anyway, you can walk yourself through this, but the point I'm trying to make here is that to achieve your purpose, you must set goals to encourage you into the future. The things that you do and you check and go, okay, I got that done. That means, on to the next thing, right? I got this place, I'm going there. The whole aspect of, well, I can't do that. Well, yes, you can. If it's something that you want to get to, you'll do something that you'll get out of your comfort zone to make it happen. If it's important, enough. I think the key is not to stress. And I talk about in this talk, I talk about the fact that I never in many years thought I was going to do. That's not anything I grew up thinking I was going to do. But I also think it's important to trust and learn from the significant moments in your life. I think whether they're positive or negative, there are things that have happened in your life that have moved you in a certain direction. And I can count back, there's 5, 6, 7 things over the course of my life, significant things that have moved me in a direction I never thought I was going to go. And some of them were positive and some of them were negative. Some of them are, were expected, some of them were unexpected. But anyway, what I would encourage you to do as you're going through this is go back and just think about your life. Think about, being a kid and this and this and this and what got you to here, right? And I know there's several places in my life where I was headed in one direction and some things happened and it just moved me in a completely different direction. The best example is why I'm here in Charlottesville. Had a great job, run an incredible office, regional manager position came available. Everybody's thought I was the guy for it, applied for it, was a finalist, didn't get the job. That's fine, didn't get the job. But I didn't get the job because they gave it to a guy that I was mentoring. That had only managed a real estate office for a couple of years. And they hired him to be the regional vice president for the organization. And the whole reason is because the person above me was looking for a yes person. Somebody that would just do whatever she said. Not really that person. But the point is, it totally knocked me off kilter because it just made sense that was going to happen. If I had gotten that job, I would never be able to see it. I mean, it was like I was looking this way and this happened. And I was looking this way and this happened. And I looked at it this way, and all of a sudden I'm looking at Charlottesville. And I was thinking about running for political office at that point. I mean, there were all sorts of things that I had moving toward. And all of a sudden, just change of paradigm, and all of a sudden we're looking at Charlottesville, and then I said, well, what if? And then that kind of makes the decision to come here to go to high school. Anyway, long story made short, because of some significant things, both positive and negative, we ended up in a different direction. And you just have to be ready for that and prepared for that. And the way you are is by looking back and seeing when those things happened and how you did. It's a cute little book. It's an easy read. It's called Hind's Feet in High Places. It's an allegorical book, but it talks about this. It's a little allegorical figure named Fear. And she lives in a miserable situation. She hates it, but she's too scared to believe it because it's all she knows. And this book is about her slowly but surely going to where she really wanted to go, and being met along the way, and having her fears met or anxieties met or whatever met, and then remembering that. So every time she felt fear again or felt this again, she remembered, oh wait, I got through that. And she ultimately gets to where she wants to go. That's to me, that's what it's all about. Understanding who you are, what's your why, where is it you want to go. Most importantly, your life is not about what you do, but in the person you become. They're just different things to think about. But then, again, talking about goals, talking about a business plan, this is the Michael Guthrie sort of thought process of it, the 6 Ds, okay? The 6 Ds, when you are thinking about anything, whether it's personal or business or whatever the case may be, you should be able to sit down and craft out what it's going to take for me to get there. Right? What is it going to take for me to be this type of golfer? What is this going to be this type of real estate agent? What is it going to be this type of father? What is it going to be this type of grandmother? Whatever the case may be, it can be in any aspect of that. And you take these 6 Ds, and what you do is you think about it, and first you think about it and you design it. You think about it, you dream it. The big picture. It can be changed as I look long term. If I could write my story, where would I like to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And dream it. Dream about, this is what I'd like to see being about. Why settle for a lesser vision when you're destined for greatness? Once you dream it, then you're going to design it, and that's where the goal setting and the things like that start in. Then you develop it, and that's the activities. Those are the objectives and things that I'm going to do. Put in specific activities that I'm going to do. They can be long term, they can be short term. I believe focusing on knowing what's right and doing the right thing will make you a better person. It's about being focused, and it's my little way of staying in my head. Focus on creating unbelievable success every day. The other one that I used to focus on a great deal is what positive difference am I going to make in the world today? In the places that I go, how am I going to be positively impacting those around me? Then the desire. I've dreamed it, I've designed it, I've developed it. Determine if I truly have the desire in my situation to be. God wants me to be. Do I have really the desire to be a $7 million producer? Do I have the desire to be a single handicap golfer? Do I have the desire to run a half marathon? It doesn't matter what they are. Do I have the desire? I may dream it, and I may design it and develop it, but for it to really start to happen, I have to have a continuing desire to make it. This is a great kind of year to do this. I mean, like, I just heard on the radio today, the city of Charlottesville's got their two, recreation facilities open for free. You can go and use the gym and whatever, and then if you like it, then you can buy discounted tickets for, later and that kind of thing. We all have that desire to be more physically fit and whatever, but how long is that desire going to last? Right? And it's only going to last as long as we think it's important enough for it to last. And then the discipline, desire and discipline, to me, those are the two key things. That if I don't have the discipline, to sit down and write this book, it's not going to happen. I may, think about, how cool it would be to have this book written. And I may already have got the stuff together to do it, which I do. And I may have the desire to make it happen, but if I don't have the discipline to sit down and set up aside time and make it happen, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But if I dream it, if I develop it, design it, develop it, have the desire, discipline, then there's no reason why I can't achieve that destiny, whatever that destiny might be. So again, ask another way, what are you building? I'll end this way. There was a builder who was ready to retire. My hope is as you search for your purpose, find out your why, and most of all, you remember that your building will ultimately answer the question, what is your destiny? And this story is a great story. It's a story about a guy who is building for another individual, building one house after another. And he gets to a place and he goes to the builder and he says, I'm done. I can't do it anymore, I'm retiring. And the builder said, the owner of the company says, I need you to build one more. He said, no, I don't want to. I'm retired. No, I want you to build one more. And so he builds it. And he goes through the motions and he gets it done. And when he gets it finished, he comes in and he says, owner, here's the certificate of occupancy. It's done. The people can move in. And the guy hands him keys to the house. And says, it's yours. I want to give you this as a gift. And the question is, would you build it differently? How do you know the guy was going to give it to him? Right? And the answer is, absolutely, right? But the point being is, he did it and he did what he needed to do. But if he had known it was for him, it would have been different. So as you think about your plan, it's for you. So build it in a way that at the end of the day, you're going to be really pleased with what was done, what was accomplished. I love that story. All right, you can read through the rest of that. And again, a lot of it's my own personal reflection. But hopefully it just gives you an idea of how to think through things. That's the point of that. Because that's years and years of thinking through things for myself. And then we get back down into the down, dirty, and effective business planning exercise. This came from Leroy Hauser's business planning class. And I think it's good stuff. I think he does a great job. 5 facts to make the plan workable. You guys with me? What page one?
73.
Let's see here.
73.
Yeah, right. Here you go, Keith. So, 73. It's amazing how I've already gone through 72 pages. The other thing I wanted to say that I wanted to remind you of is that whole aspect again, as I talked about New Year's Day and things like that. Please don't let yourself get frustrated by other things getting in the way. I want to just continue to reiterate that that's just life, right? Monday I'm at the basketball game, having a great time. My brother was with me. My brother who's autistic was with me. My brother-in-law from Richmond was there. I got up and took a picture of them, sat down and realized that my wallet was gone. And, I have one of those wallets that has the portfolio, magnetic on one side. It was one of those crazy things. JPJ, it wasn't that crowded around me. And it was the funniest thing, like where you sit up above me sometimes, you would have gotten such a kick out of it because at the first media time out, it was like a scavenger hunt just going on in section 115. There were like 4 rows of people trying to help me. They're all looking on their seats. They're shaking their coats. Because literally it just disappeared. And all we could think is there was a little crack where the bleachers and the concrete went that went down underneath it. Somehow it hit, it just perfect and bounced through that hole. And after the game, I went down there. The JPJ people, RMC people could have been nicer. Spent about half an hour with me looking around and whatever. Gone. Well, obviously, the rest of my day changed at that point, right? And she canceled credit cards, no luck. Yesterday, first thing in the morning, right, D&D, standing in the line. I took a picture and sent it to my wife. She said, "These were the most weird-looking people that you were standing in line." But it, you know, again, it just changed, and just that's life, right?
And that day, they go down to look at the game.
Yeah.
And, she found a credit card, on the.
With Michael Guthrie name on it.
Oh, that's
Hey, Michael,
funny.
what is that new party?
I don't know, I tried to use Turkish credit.
Yeah.
Now she uses that, but it's some professor's card from Northern Virginia.
Oh, wow.
And the funny thing is, there was a professor at UVA the exact same day.
No way.
And I called her first, she goes, "It's not me.
Wow.
We did some research, there was another professor from, George Mason,
No
who's
way.
there in the time. Yeah, that day.
And they're looking to buy a house.
Yeah.
She was
These
Charlottesville,
these
you know?
girls I know.
Right.
Thanks,
If I can help you, I'm going to leading real estate companies in the world. We've got brokers in Northern Virginia, I'd be happy to free agents, give us that. Five facts to make the plan workable. If you can see it and believe it, you can have it. 85% of what we know comes from what we see done. You know, when you see other people accomplish things, or you see yourself accomplish things, 85% of what we know comes from what we see done.
What was the first?
Believe. If you can see it and believe it, you can have it. Written production goals are a must. The ability to add and delete your database. That could be a goal right there for 2019, is I'm going to have a workable database, whether it's a Graffiti CRM system or Top Producer or whatever. I'm going to get out of my legal pad. I'm going to have something that I can be adding and deleting. Just as simple as Microsoft Outlook. That's all I use. Because if I was an agent, I would use something different. But in my role, my calendar, my reminders, I mean, everything's in there. One of the things you might think about doing, and I know Keith, you do this a little bit, is if you've got like 3 goals, that, you know, 3 things that you want to do every day, then make it 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 to 7:15 every morning, a reminder that repeats daily, and every morning it will pop up and remind you of these 3 goals. And that's just right there, you know, make your phone an accountability partner. That's something I'm going to do. I haven't done it yet, but it's one of the things I'm going to do. Put down some things so when they jump up, I can't say that, oh, I forgot about that. Or, oh, you know, whatever. So, but anyway, written production goals are a must. Being able to add and delete from your database. Knowing how many leads you need to make sales energizing. It's a numbers game, you know, and some of you are new enough that you don't know, but as you get along in the business, you begin to understand that if I need X amount of people, an appointment's going to get made, and I'm going to get appointments, I'm going to get a piece of business. And when you have that, it can vault you into this, you know, crazy place. I've told some of you a story about the guy I shadowed when I first got in business, who was totally about bar charts and goals, about everything in his life. He went into his office in his house, and there was just bar charts everywhere. How much time he spends with his kids, quality time with his kid, you know, how many deer, you know, animals he can kill with his bow during that season, how many animals he can kill with black powder, you know, I mean, the whole thing. But the thing I was interested in is the business part. And he knew that for every 20 doors he knocked on, he was going to get a sale. Because he knew for every 20 doors, and 100 doors he knocked on, that out of 100 doors he was going to get 3 leads, and out of those 3 leads he was going to get a sale. So for every 100 homes, he knew that there was a sale. So he literally had this system. You can never do this now. This was, you know, 30 years ago. He literally had a backpack with coffee on one side and tea on the other. And he'd go and knock on the door and say, and he had these little cups. He said, "I'd like to share a cup of coffee." I'm Kurt Kuykendall. I'm here to share a cup of coffee. Would you like sugar or cream with that? You know, people look at this. The first guy I knew that did, you know, every house got a pumpkin at Halloween. Anyway, the point being is back then, average sales price was like $100,000. Right? So 100 times, $100,000 times 3% is $3,000 gross commission. He knew that every door he knocked on was $30. Right? So he'd come home and Sherry would say, how'd you make it? Well, I made X amount of dollars. Now, he didn't sell it, but he knew he made $270 because he knocked on X amount of doors. And it just ended it. And again, and he'd come in and he'd color in his bar chart. I mean, and he could literally tell, okay, you know, we're gonna be okay. You know, we got this much in the pipeline and blah, blah, blah. So you may not be that A-type, but knowing how many leads you need to make a sale is energizing. All months are not the same. They just aren't. In most situations, and I'm sure Keith will do this next Wednesday, talking about the fact that you got to kind of make your goals top heavy. The spring and that kind of thing. You do more business at that time than you are in, say, August. So all months are not the same. More production in the first half. Well, two reasons for that. Two reasons for more production in the first half. One, the more production you do in the first half, the more you know that you're going to achieve your goal. And hopefully it gives you a chance to do some fun things yourself. Because and again, you want to reward yourself. When you're hitting certain milestones, you want to have your own personal rewards. As simple as, it can be as simple as I knocked on 100 doors, I'm going to go to movies. Something that you can look forward to when you achieve, that situation. I lose 10 pounds and I have a chocolate cake. But you understand what I'm saying? You have things that you kind of look forward to. So more production in the first half. Make plans for planned and unplanned events. Make plans for planned and unplanned events. That's what we were just talking about. If you've got plans, things that you're going to do each and every day, something may happen that curtails you from doing it in the morning. Well, okay, I got to get this done before I leave tonight. It's just one of those things that needs to happen. Next one, know your ability. Don't be unrealistic. Don't try to do things that you can't do. Because if you do that, you're going to demoralize yourself. You're going to put yourself in a position where you're saying, I can't do this. So know your ability, be realistic with your goals. Most common sources of prospective buyers and sellers, your Raving Fans. If you haven't read that book, I'd encourage you to read it. Raving Fans by the guy who wrote The 1 Minute Manager, Spencer. I remember his last name, but you Google it, you can find it. It's a real simple book, really great book called Customer Service and Creating Raving Fans. People out there talking about you and how great you are. Sphere of influence, and then open house visitors. Most common sources of prospective buyers and sellers, and why it says open house visitors is the fact that if you market yourself, if you promote the open house in the right way, you should be promoting it out to the neighbors who might ultimately be sellers. Not just about getting buyers to the door, it's about building relationships with the people around that listing. And don't be afraid to send your open house information to your sphere of influence. They may live 25 miles away. But hey, I'm holding open house Sunday, I'd love for you to stop by. If you know anybody's looking at this price range, I'd love to meet them. You never know, right? Plus the fact that it shows them that you're active, you're busy. And it encourages them to stay in front of line with them. Current clients, past home buyers, online shoppers, social network. Online shoppers could be thinking about doing a zip code in Zillow or something like that. It could just mean really promoting yourself on social media, really upgrading your business page. It could be, buying into the I Love Seaville thing that we're actually launching today. I'm going down there at 12:30 today to do the first Facebook Live and announcement of the partnership with Roy Wheeler and Sherry Miller and I Love Seaville. And then Caitlin's next week and Sarah's the following week. Anyway, it might be that way because then you take that and cut and paste the different links to that and send that out to your influence. The other thing too is if you're posting something on Facebook, you got a business page, you should encourage your friends to share it. As soon as you post it, ask them, please, even if you don't like it, just share it with them. Because I got however many people, I got 3,000 people or something on my Facebook page. If I can get 10 of them who have 300 people to share that, that's another 3,000 people that are seeing that. And then who knows who else goes out. It's that ripple effect of how far it goes, who knows, right? So online shoppers and social media network to make sure that you're updated with Chris in regards to your agent profile. So if somebody goes on the royalriver.com website and goes on the agent roster, they read about you. They say, oh, this is the kind of person I want to work with. Get the testimonials put on there. Don't forget that on Realtor.com, as you get testimonials, as you get agent reviews back that we send to you, or you get stuff, you can go on Realtor.com and you can post those recommendations. You don't have to have the person, Zillow, the actual person has to post it for you. But Realtor.com, we can copy and paste those into your site. And interesting enough, on Realtor.com, there are buyers that are searching by recommendations. They want to see what people are saying about other agents. And if you have 10 of them, then you're going to show up before the person has 9 of them, right? If you have 0 of them, you're not going to show up in that recommendation. So that's a really good way of a place that you can be specific and targeted about having people find you. Unlisted properties. What are unlisted properties? Well, the properties that are on the market. It may have been on the market before, the next one expired listings, but it may just be unlisted. It maybe you've got a buyer in a particular price range, or that that right now the price range of $300,000 in Charlottesville, the city of Charlottesville, those little ramblers, little yard stuff, that that's an active market. Well, sending something in and saying, hey, you live in a neighborhood where there are buyers looking. Have you thought about selling? I'd love the opportunity to talk to you about what it would take to market your home to get it sold. There's a great opportunity there if you're intentional and focused in on that. One of the things I would encourage you to do is, if it's something you're going to do, go back and think about farming that area, geographically farming it. Maybe the first thing you do is you send that kind of letter in, but then behind it, you start sending information about the neighborhood and what's selling and that kind of thing. And then you take the time to knock on people's door and introduce yourself to them, so that when they get stuff from you, they know who you are. But anyway, unlisted properties, expired listings. January 1st, there were a lot of expired listings that came on the MLS. 237. Okay, there you go. Those are all people that you call.
Not the $25,000, but
Right.
I moved to the middle of the class in a sweet spot.
Yeah, and so expired listings, children's families. If you got kids, they should be. You should be letting them know that you're in the business. It's one of the places that I've talked with Bart Kelly's starting to really kind of pursue that. Her son Eric is very active on social media. His wife is actually sang the national anthem at JPJ on Monday. But both of them are very active on social media. I said, Art, you got to get them promoting you to do business with their friends because they've got a tremendous sphere themselves. But the lacrosse sphere, the parents of the lacrosse teams and things like that. Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
Corner of the rental market.
Yeah.
We have this extra question because you mentioned again social media. Reviews and testimonials are important, especially in Instagram and Facebook. I think I got a lead from somebody who saw the work we did on Instagram. Do we still have that outline from Brittany from last? Did it in December?
From
The
social media?
outline, do we still have it anywhere? Or should I ask you?
I would ask Jay.
Okay.
I'm not sure I saw that one. My mind just might be blanking on that. Was it a template of some sort? Was it like a PowerPoint?
She had a PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. I would just ask Jay to ask Brittany to send it to him. So
Okay, I'll ask Jay.
that's great. Good idea. New contacts create new opportunities. If I'm going to boil this business down to one word, it's contacts. If you don't have any contacts, it doesn't matter how well trained you are, how well you can negotiate contracts, whatever. If you don't have contacts, you've got nothing. So some of you have a lot of contacts, some of you don't. So one of the things the plan has to be in 2019 is, how do I increase contacts? It's that real estate food chain, if you will, that everybody you meet is a potential client, right? Customer or client. And so you meet somebody, they're suspects, right? Because you don't know whether or not they're going to be able to provide you referrals, or they're going to be a referral at some point or whatever. And you work with them, you build a relationship, you gain credibility, you show them care, and they go from suspects to prospects. And you work with them and you get more information and you find out that they are qualified to buy something, they are going to buy something in the next little while, so they go from suspects to prospects to customers. And then we get with them and we start to show them property, and we talk about the fact that they have the right to represent them, that they have the right to be represented, and they agree to work with you, and so they become clients through the exclusive right to represent agreement. All right? And from clients, they become buyers or sellers. And from buyers or sellers, they become money earned. So you've got these links to these chains: suspects, prospects, customers, clients, buyers or sellers, money earned.
And referrals.
I'm sorry, yeah.
And referrals.
Right. And thank you. And then the referral probably, you start at customer. I mean, you start at prospect, because it's not a suspect, because somebody has referred them to you, right? And so you're starting now and get a prospect, or you may even start as fast as client. Somebody refers you, so you leapfrog the chain all the way to client because you're meeting with them. They're signing an exclusive right to represent. They're signing a listing agreement with you, and they're becoming buyers and sellers. But the point being is, new contacts create that opportunity. So how am I going to create new contacts? I used to have, when I was selling, I had a mantra of, have I made a new appointment today? Have I made a new appointment? If I hadn't, I couldn't go home. Or once I created this thing with my wife that said I needed to be home at 5:30, so that when one of those two little kids got thrown out the front door, I was there to catch it and help bathe and feed and get them down. I literally made myself go back to work. I mean, back to work, because we didn't have a computer back in the office computer. The MLS had printed out on the little, or had those little cards. Well, then really got the answer. We put the phone in the thing and printed on that thermal paper. And you had to work quickly, because in a couple months you couldn't read it anymore because the ink had dried out. Anyway, one day I literally had to go back to work at 7 o'clock or 7:30 and work my expired list or do whatever I was going to do to try to make an appointment. And I literally, that was a focal point to me. There were two things above my phone. Have you made a positive difference in the world today? And have you gotten an appointment? When I got an appointment, it didn't have to be an appointment for tomorrow. It could be an appointment for 6 months from now. It could be, as long as I had something else that was going into my pipeline for future business, then I could check that box off of what I achieved there. Same people, same systems equals same results. Inactive people never change anything. The person who knows the numbers succeeds almost every time. If you know the numbers, your percentage of success increases dramatically.
So when you use Outlook, do you categorize your contacts and title them?
I put in the notes information, so I can search by notes. But in mine, name, email, phone number, company. They have I don't categorize them. Again, if I'm going to start doing categorizing, I'm going to get into BDC. I'm going to do top producer with, which are both real estate focused on doing those kind of things. And then you can categorize sellers, prospects, you can do all sorts of things, so that then you can send a mailing out to just that category if you want, right?
There are some tags on that that
Yeah.
you can change almost.
Yeah. I just never needed to do that.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been in that. Used Outlook, but certain Google contacts you can set up. I forget what they call it. It's a group, I believe. And you can do designate groups. So family, work, prospect.
Okay, so we get into it's all in the plan, and this is going to be more what Keith's going to do next Wednesday. This is more of a general thing, but Keith's going to really put you in a place where when you walk out of there, you have a plan. Our goal is to provide outstanding service that brings up the level of business we need to fulfill our financial goals, while enabling us to enjoy the quality of life we deserve. Again, that's that goal. It's a good life. It's a balance, that kind of thing. A worthwhile goal is achievable and sustainable. We've talked a little bit about that. Be specific. Focus on this positive, expect it to change. And that's where you kind of review them and go, okay, this isn't working. Is it not working because I'm not doing it well? So I got to change it, or is it not working because I just made a mistake? In regards to thinking I would be able to crack that nut, or whatever the case may be. When you're crystal clear about your goal, your mind will create a plan to help you get where you need to go. That's what I was talking about before, just writing things down. Your mind takes that information, and if you are, clear that this is something I want to have happen in 2019, your mind is going to help you do it. It's going to help you create a plan to help you get where you want to go. Don't wait to get it perfect. There's one mistake we all make. It's that. Well, I'm not quite ready yet. My dad would say, son, if you think you're not ready, you're never going to be ready. That goes back to the Mel Robbins thing, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or David Rana talking about just start it. Just, this is the direction I want to go, so today I'm going to start going there. If you have a goal to walk the Appalachian Trail, you got to start somewhere. And it's one day at a time, and you start, figure out where you will and finish, you come off, go right back to that place again and start again. But expect change as it relates to what you're doing. But be crystal clear. Don't wait to get perfect. Allow your plan to change. Focus on daily activities that help you achieve your goal. I can't emphasize that enough. You should have daily something written down that says, this is what I'm going to do today. These are the things I have to accomplish today. And the reason for that is you don't have it written down, and one of those things that happens that distract you, you lose your wallet, or somebody lists their house that you thought you were going to get the listing, or somebody's sick, or whatever it is, you've got to attend to that, to attend to those things that change, but having something to go back to, oh wait, I got to get to this now, right? Whereas if we don't have it, the next thing we know, the day's gone, and we didn't get those things done. Going back to if somebody gets a listing that you thought you would get, it's real easy to have a pity party about that, right? And you have every right to have a pity party. If it was something you thought you didn't get, you got to figure out why you didn't get it, that kind of thing. But for me, what I would do is I'd say, okay, I didn't get that one, so I got to find another one. So I had activities that I'm doing that day, whether it was walking the neighborhood or sending out a postcard. There was something that instead of going home and put my thumb in my mouth and put the blanket over my head and said, poor me. Okay, that didn't happen. I got to do this to make it happen. So focus on your daily activities, and then measure your results daily. Keep track of what you're doing and what's working and what's not working. And what happens is over the years, your business plan gets easier to do because now you've got data. Now you got to think, so I tried that and it didn't work. Now the key to that is, did you try it? And it didn't work, or did you say you were going to try and you did it sort of half-assed and it didn't work? Those are two very different things. Okay. Back to basic marketing. Does it bring you new leads? Act as a wonderful closing tool at a listing appointment. Set your clients' expectations and keep them happy. Help you get your listing sold. Give you a daily marketing tool. Expired listings. If you're going to go after those, or you're an expert on helping folks who've had a difficult time selling their home, you've got to be an expert. If you're going to talk to those people, they've had a bad experience. For whatever reason, it may be that they were overpriced. It may be that their house was in bad condition. It may be that they were on a busy street. Whatever the case may be, their house didn't sell. And so when you get a chance to talk to them, you've got to present yourself as an expert. You've got to be able to give them information that says, here's what's happening, right? You must be confident in the advice you give. That's where, the knowledge is power. Being an expert, having the knowledge about the marketplace makes you confident in the advice you give. Specific example right now on a negative note is we listed a house on Sturbridge at a higher price than a beautiful house, listed at a higher price than it should have sold for. We reduced the price once, got it to a price that still was too high, but at least it was more realistic. And the market changed. And we got blamed for it. We didn't market it right, we didn't do the right things, blah, blah. And so they asked to be released, and we released them. Another company came in, and the story as to how they got in there. Another company came in and listed it, and I watched that every day until, I think we had it on the market for 63 days. And once the other company had it on the market for 64 days. It was all I could do not to write a letter saying, okay, so what's different, right? It went off the market, got withdrawn. So then I wrote a letter to the client, the seller, who was a friend. Dear such and such, saw that your house hadn't sold, I'm really sorry, I really hoped that it would. You know, it is interesting to me that, you know, the other company had it as long as we did, and I hope you now see that it was a market-driven situation versus whatever. Well, it turns out in that situation, go back to significant moments, the guy ended up getting another job in Charlottesville. So they were glad it didn't sell, because they didn't want to sell in the first place. They loved the house, they'd done it, fixed it up the way they wanted to fix it up. So that ultimately, it was a good thing that it didn't sell. But the point being is,
Do you think that,
no, that's right, go ahead.
now, do you think consciously, even though they thought they had to sell, because he was going to be relocated, do you think that in his mind, he was so attached to what they've done that they said, this is the price?
Yeah, I did.
Motivation.
Yeah, I did.
It really is.
Yeah, I think they, in the back of their mind, they thought, well, you know, he got this job in another place, and
Or
if it doesn't work out, you know, the kids were staying with the mom, homeschool kids, staying at home so that they, you know, I do. But now, me, you know, all that's good, but what I really wanted him to write is, I'm so sorry for the things I said to you and your agent in regards to your ineptness, in regards to marketing property. And he didn't. He did write back and say, thank you so much, and the good news is blah, blah. And of course, then I said, isn't it interesting that the house over here that was listed for less is now at this price and still hasn't sold? And therefore, unfortunately, market vision, hopefully he'd write back and say, you're right, I'm sorry, you know, blah, blah. But I didn't get it. I didn't get it. But
Michael, you're right.
Thank you. But the good news is it gave me an opportunity to get some closure on it. But the whole point here is I was confident in the advice we gave them. Never were we on. I mean, I really feel like what we told them happened exactly the way we thought.
What you said, it was priced too high.
Yeah, price point, this is what they're going to need to do, and they're competing against new construction and yada, yada, yada. And you really got to be more aggressive, right? And yeah, and then that's the third question. What will it take to get sold, right? You know, we knew what it was going to take to get sold. They just didn't want to go there, right? And you know, it is what it is. Don't make the same mistake twice. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, there's a reason why things don't sell. Two, and why things don't happen.
Well, I had a listing in my neighborhood was true as well. And I told them, your house will sell, but if I can, I'm going to buy my hand. And I'm doing it for 10 years. I said, your house will sell, you get 460, you get 470. Probably around 465 or so. Well, they were thinking about listing 480, and I'm like, oh gosh, guys, you know.
So was that the time you got your
The house is nearly as updated as once it is sold in that price range. I had it for almost a year, and I was getting ready to renew it, and they set me down a petition, and said, you know what, basically, they said, you're fired.
Yeah.
We're gonna give it to the guy that helped us buy this house. There wasn't a lot of explanation to it, or the relationship turned chilly. So they gave him, he didn't sell it, and they gave it to someone else. Finally sold, 2 years later, 465. And I didn't go in there and congratulations.
So, hey, congratulations, glad you sold it 465. I feel much better now.
She's been liking some things on the property club, like her old Facebook page lately, and in my mind, it says to me, you were right, you were wrong, but we're never gonna say that it was too long.
So Michael,
Yeah,
do you guys still rekindle the friendship or?
They're in Richmond now. I mean, the whole thing was selling, they're close to the grandkids, they bought down, off 288 down there, off of Romeo's Road.
But it's the friendship that we
By life.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
Huh?
And the reason I bring that up is just because it goes back to what Mike always said, and something that sometimes you and I talk about. Do I have to, can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
Can I, because I'd rather disappoint you now than a year later, and then our relationship is toast.
Yeah, but some people are just not ready to hear that. They're
Yeah,
not-
well-
that's the
Well, they
motivation
agreed to a
that comes in.
30-day price review, a drop. If it doesn't, if I said, well, take a chance at this price, but after 30 days, you don't get any activity, we need to revisit this and look more closer where I was at. And when it came to that point, they were like, ah. And I said, okay,
Like
here my
I
signs out there, maybe I'll get a lead off of it.
Yeah. like I said, let me disappoint
But
you.
that hurts your reputation.
That's-
And I can tell you that.
Well, can I have it not sell?
My God, yeah.
Well, no, I mean,
I lost
yeah.
business because of that.
The only thing that made me happy was the second guy I had was my neighbor agent from Riverside Village.
I've heard it spoken in this room, that there's a time to say, no thank you.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there is a time to say no thank
Certainly
you.
not at a level where I should be saying no thank you very often, but if I did feel
Actually,
strongly.
now's the time to say.
I was gonna say, do you, when
Now's
you
the
look back
time
at
to
it,
say beginning
you've been through this enough times. Do you regret taking it?
I needed the practice, it was earlier on, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you always do, it doesn't sell, I mean, there's some level of regret that
I
doesn't sell.
don't know. I'm asking
Yeah,
for
you do.
your
But no,
education.
since then, I have fired buyers since then, and I have put no to listings. Because I'm just not gonna do it, you know? And the ones I have said yes to are, you know, the Sylvies and the people themselves, even in the market was hot, they all sold quickly. And I don't feel like we left a lot of money on the table based on what everything else was selling around it, so. But there have been listings since then that I just said, you know what, guys, I want to wish you luck. And if it doesn't work out, just keep me in mind and what I just told you here.
So there are two things in regard to your question. First one is, at least if something is oftentimes worse than nothing. So you can say, well, I'm gonna take this because at least it's something. I'll be marketing it and blah, blah. And it may be the right reason, but it could be worse than nothing. What I mean by worse than nothing is you spend a lot of time on it, and it means you're not doing the other things to get more productive, right? In Mike's situation, it probably wouldn't happen that way because, as he said, I was new in the business. It gave me an opportunity to practice. So it gave me a listing. It was in my neighborhood, had a sign in the yard, you know, that kind of thing. You say, okay, but what I hope happens is as you have more business, you start having this attitude that you may only have one listing, you may have no listings. But as you learn the business, you're going into every listing like, I have 9 listings, and I'm only looking for one more. Would this be the one I would take? Right? And if I have that sort of mental, well, no, I'm not going to take this unless it's at the price, or they're willing to do this. And if they don't put that price, or they're not willing to do that goes back to what Michael said. I'm standing up and saying, you know what, I don't think I'm the right person for you. Right? What I would encourage you to do, though, is one, I don't think you're going to be able to get this price. I really don't. So I don't feel like I can enthusiastically market this price. Right? If you get the price, I'm going to be the first person to congratulate you. The only thing I would like you to do is take a short term with these people, 60, 90 days, because I'm going to guarantee that if I'm right, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm right, within 30, 45 days, they're going to be asking for a price reduction. And I want you to get a list with me because I was honest with you in the first place. You know, going back to your 465, that's where they go. But the point being is, do I have is that my standard? Right? And if it is, I got 9 saleable listings, I'm only looking for one more, this wouldn't be the one. That puts me in a position to say, you know what, I'm just not going to hassle. Because somebody else is going to take it. And hopefully that seller, if it sells again, great, we're happy, or we're congratulating. If it doesn't sell, that other agent takes all the hit in having that person adjust to the market, right? And here's the problem, here's the challenge. It only has to happen once where you do that, and the house sells at the price they wanted. No, you shouldn't have, because that was lucky. That was the spaghetti sticking on the wall. You know, that one buyer was willing to buy it for that price. In more times than not, and what I would do is just ask agents around the market in the company, more times than not, overpriced listings don't sell. And I hang on to them, and I hang on to them, and I ultimately lose them, right? But there's exceptions that then you go, because what happens is you get into this for a year, and now you spend money and you spend time. It's doggone, I'm going to get this sold, and it's the last thing. I've wasted a whole year.
A long time.
This is a long time.
Yeah, I'm not looking again, and I got a confession to make, all right? This is gonna, I went, well, I listened to one quote. Right, my default hurt. We went out initially, looked around, did the report thing, we got together, all the time. The evidence shows 5, 25. And that might have been pushing to even have 4 acres. You know, where was that and everything? So we put together a little marketing thing, little thing, we went out and talked to them, and, you know, they think 5 acres. Okay? There's no comps out there for that. And, you know, and he said, well, what would you do to my house? You know, what do you think about the condition of the house? Well, your kitchen's nice, you have a very good kitchen, you know, and we talked about living in the UVA man. Also, completely covered for baseball stuff. I mean, there's no bare wall in that part of the house. The floors are awful. And I said, well, you know, what's your opinion, or what's your willingness to pick up these floors? Not doing it. I felt bad because it was, you know, I'm out there trying to help Logan. And, you know, it's one of those ones we're going to watch. But yeah, right now, we should not have taken it. Even if they said we're going to give it to you if you go to 5A, I think we probably, it's not going to sell on 5A.
Did it go on the market?
Yeah.
Well, what about the one in Louisa that you and John had? Same story.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's-
yeah,
that's
and
on the
it's come
market.
down,
That's on the market though with another agent.
true, and
Yeah, it came
it
down.
started above and now it's down, yeah,
It's below what you guys said?
yeah.
You think so that you were right.
And that's a good example, John, and they, you know, they worked on, they had the listing, the son-in-law said, we're gonna list you, and the mother, whatever reason.
Who was in charge? She was.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
She was in charge.
Yeah, and we had agents to go and do a broker, you know, price opinion and stuff, we did everything right. But she didn't budge, and so they listed with somebody else, and now it's below what.
Yeah, these people want to call back and say, get lost, we didn't like you, like, you know, you're crazy, any of that. So, you know what? It's,
But sometimes it goes back to your gut.
you know, not the market softening up when it's price range anyway. Single family house.
But go by your gut. Alarm bells, when the alarm bells go off, and I'm living one right now, and I'm regretting I took this listing. Regretting
Who told you not to take?
Oh,
it. You did.
data. You need
Why
to
would
know.
a new home
And who
without
told you
putting
to fire?
insurance contingency in that contract? And we got the listing to sell this existing home. And she didn't tell us about this until now. Are we people the listing? Person said, you're gonna get green.
Anyway, so you got green now?
It's still on the market and I have the client form every 5 minutes.
And she's creamed because client made a bad decision. And is in part of that bad decision.
Are we talking about price? I'm just curious.
Doesn't matter.
It's,
She's under the gun on the new house because
She made a bad decision.
She bought that new house without making a decision to sell the old one, so that was tremendous pressure to get that sold, right? And the pressure, the mistake is being dumped on her. It's their mistake, but it's her fault.
And the answer should have been, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Yep.
And walked away.
and I did.
At the beginning.
there's no warrant.
Okay,
That's not fair enough.
so expired listings, geographical target marketing, we talked about that, and we'll be training along that, but, the geographical target market, I think is if you can pick the right target market, it'll help you make money. You want to give them a reason to call you, you want them to see you everywhere with business. What I mean by that is you may be holding an open house in another neighborhood or whatever, nothing to say, if that's your market, you want people to know you're in the market, that they know that that's happening. The most inexpensive, efficient way of doing this is get a target market with some mailings, but as quickly as you can, start collecting email addresses. And putting yourself in a position where those kinds of things go out by email versus having to mail. Still mail from time to time so that they get that, but the monthly things can be done by email. You can do that as simple as having a drawing. You know, let's say you choose a geographic market, you're going to do something for around Easter time. You know, you can do a drawing for a fresh ham from Whole Foods or something, right? Anybody that sends in their email address by such and such a date is going to be entered into a drawing for such, or whatever the case may be. Go to a restaurant and get them to give you a gift certificate for half price because you're going to market their restaurant. Anybody that sends you an email, you can do one of those every month. And over a year, you're going to create a pretty good email distribution. Mike, talk real quickly, because I know you're the one who brought it to my attention. On Nextdoor, you can now promote listings on Nextdoor, correct?
Okay.
So, yeah, it used to be, because I had like 4 sales or 5 sales over the last couple of years, and the town, the billion came up, they had like your recommended agents, and they started like recommending like property agents, whatever, and it's like Floyd New York came up. But now you can actually actively market your listings, and they're working on linking it up with car. I think they're waiting, they're trying to,
I didn't know
they're
that.
trying to work towards that. I've been talking to the guy, but they're trying to work towards linking it up, so we list it on Nextdoor as well. But I think they're waiting for the big thing to come in. There's been,
Oh, the bright.
Right.
For what?
Right.
The new MLS that's gonna be this fall versus.
they don't want to start it and then
That makes sense.
And then, yeah, so Nextdoor is, when it came out, it was like, it was mostly just pavilion people. I thought it was just what they put in the pavilion, like, oh, the whole thing. It was a social media app that's community specific.
And Livermore is, incredibly active.
Nextdoor, and you can pick
My community too.
Make my choice.
yeah, you can pick a lot of Belmont people on it for hours and Hancock people.
The key to the Nextdoor, if you haven't been there, the key to Nextdoor is signing on from where you live, but be actively engaged in it. Because we talk all the time about, again, in your business plan, being the source of the source. I have people all the time ask me on Nextdoor about who would you recommend for stuff, because when people ask for that, I'm always replying. Oh, reach out to this person or reach out to that person. It has nothing to do with real estate, but it's being the source of the source thing. This guy knows who.
Yeah, handyman and plumbers, I've done that too. You know, we're running into a problem. I'm in River Run, and first of all, it's become a complaining nest. And I'm on the board, so I'm not supposed to actively respond to any of that stuff. And so it's become a little bit uncomfortable. So I look on it and I read, trying to get information off it. It's very difficult for me not to reach into the show.
But anyway, so,
You gotta just stay on the positive.
Guys,
Just look at the positive
hey,
things.
that was a resolution I made last year, about that whole political thing, but, I'm getting ready to promote a cinema, home life cinema, so trying to put together, I got an outline. I'm going to keep, dual sectional affordable housing, home buying seminar, and, well, when you do something good, then you should start. And I'm promoted on Nextdoor, but also a lot of records.
And, you can get Jay and, Charles Summit, they'll have a name for that. Just let Bill Tucker come in and do a little legal segment about closing process, pre-qualification and stuff. That's great.
So Michael, Yona and I have done several of them.
Yep.
So we can help you with that.
Marketing those, friendly and fans, market yourself. The value is what you ask for. Let them know what you want. The secret is asking for permission. I'd love to have permission for you. I'd love to seek your permission to market to you, and hopefully you help me market to others. Deliver service and business will follow. The right way to receive a referral, gratefully, and don't forget where the referrals came from, and obviously a handwritten note right away. But after the fact, once it closes or whatever, whether you take a picture of the people and you send it to them and say, gosh, I'm so grateful that you trusted me with these friends of yours. They're very happy, they're in the new home, blah, blah, blah. What you can't do is you can't quid pro quo things. So you can't go into your friends and family and say, if you refer this to me, I'm going to do this for you. But there's nothing that says that you can't, at some point, send them something of thanks. So as an example, somebody made they bought a property in Mountain Downs. And, during the process, I wrote a note, and I knew there was a restaurant that she liked. And I said, hey, here's a gift certificate. I'd love for you to take a couple of your friends to dinner. And didn't say anything about it because of the referral. It's just, hey, I was thinking about you and wanted you to do this. This is, behavioral modification. My master's is in counseling. The one thing I learned is behavioral modification. Pavlov's dog. You do something good happens. You do it again, something good happens. We pretty much know that at some point something is going to happen if I do it again, right? And so the right way to receive referrals with gratitude, acknowledging it, and at some point later on, telling them again how much you appreciate it, because it makes all the difference in the world.
So you're saying you can't send a gift certificate to somebody to say thanks.
You can't say, if you refer it to me, I'm gonna send you a gift certificate.
But you can send it after the fact, right? It's not a quick pro quo, it's just.
As long as it, and I would change what you said. As long as it's not a, again, if somebody says to you, anybody that referred me, Bob, I'm gonna send you $1,000 check. You can't send that type of thing to an unlicensed person. So there's nothing that says that you can't, do a pop by or whatever with a gift at some point to say, hey, I appreciate you, and I thank you for, for trusting me with your business. This is just a little small token I appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Feeney's advice was very good, which was don't wait until it turns into money. But then the people will have forgotten that they actually gave you the referral. It should be almost immediate.
Yeah, I think I sent the example I'm using. I think I sent it to about halfway through. There was like a month before they were going to close, and then when I knew they closed, all I did was, hey, just want to let you know those folks are in, they're happy, and she wrote back. I said, yeah, I saw them the other night at the Christmas party, and they're ecstatic. Establishing a referral network. How can your current clients provide you leads for more advertising? It's all about contacts. We already talked about that. More contacts, more business will flow. Consistent creativity. Doing things consistently but differently. Don't have people just seeing the same old stuff from you. Personal notes. Qualifying your database. When we talk about orange juice analogy, baseball, hunting, handouts, that's qualifying database. You think about the old juicers where you squeeze the orange juice and ultimately, you've got enough in there, but the pulp it didn't flow as fast as you wanted it to flow. So you got to kind of take the pulp out so that just juice flows out. Well, it's the same thing. You're putting everything you can in your database initially, but at some point, people aren't going to buy, people aren't going to sell, people aren't going to refer. That's like pulp. You got to get those people out so you've only got the sweet stuff in there, right? And the baseball hunting, I don't have the handout, but the analogy is back in Reston, going back to how I motivated myself to exercise, I'd go out for a run, and my run would always end up behind South Lakes High School because I coached baseball, Babe Ruth baseball. And American Legion and Clark Griffith League played at South Lakes High School at night. Balls would get fouled over the backstop, go down this hill, and they'd send somebody out to look for it. It was dark. I'd find them. I'd find them next morning. So I ran, no matter what time of year, how hot, I ran with sweatpants on, deep pockets. And I'd walk through those woods, cool down, and pick up baseballs and golf balls and arrows and all sorts of stuff. The point being is, it got to a place where I had so many baseballs that were literally been hit once. So I started just throwing the old ones up on the field. So that the next team that came would have them for practice. I didn't need them because I was getting all the good ones, right? Well, it's the same thing with prospecting. As I prospect, I'm going to take kind of everything. But once I get my business really going and the pipeline going, well, then I'm going to refer it out. Oh, I don't really want to do this, so I'll refer this to Bob. I don't want to do that, so I'll refer this to Keith. Because it's going to take up more of my time. It's going to distract me from where I want to go. Right? Does that make sense? All I'm saying. So it takes a while, but if you have that attitude of I'm going to put stuff in, but as soon as I get enough in there, if there are people that are draining me, if there are people that are not going to do something, they just got to be gone. It's what I used to call F7 people, because my Mac F7 was delete. And so I would just F7 that went out of my list, and so I never had to think about them again because they were gone. But hopefully that makes sense. The next thing is just something that's in Real Master Success, but I put it in here. 20 ways to create success in 2019, it says 18. But these are just, different things that you should look at in regards to your own thing. This is a Buffini handout that we just got. This is a nice little bit in regards to achieving your own financial goals for 2019. Hopefully that'll be helpful. Again, as you begin to think about going into Keith's class and really putting together a business plan, the next thing that I've got here is determining the value of your time. And this is just another example of $50 per hour pre-expenses times 50, work per year times 50 hours a week is $105,000, 60% split. you begin to see, and again, these numbers aren't exactly right because you get 85%, so the number really is a squirrel.
Squirrel.
Wait, 100 now?
Yeah.
And this is-
Good eating.
Yeah. But anyway, it just gives you an idea of, if you take 55% and 85%, you see those numbers, 3 million times 2.5% times 55, 3 million times 2.5% times 80%. And this is just giving you examples of what the different dollar amounts look like. And you can begin to, get an understanding of what this is trying to show you is you look at 3%, 2.5%, you want to get that 3%. You want to know from the very beginning that you're worth that 3%, and here's why. And the reason being is if you get 3%, then that $105,000 is reached at $7 million. If you're at 2.5%, you got to sell $1.2 million more. And if you're at 2%, you got to sell $2.8 million more to get the same amount of dollars. That's what that's trying to show you. So one, establish what you believe your time is worth. Two, define the services you want to provide each client with whom you're engaged in a listing agreement or buyer agreement. Do not work with anybody who's not willing to sign a contract, which ensures you must be compensated. Within this process, outline what you think of yourself, your abilities, your skill and profession. You feel it's worth more or less than the hourly rate which you wish to achieve for quality services. Determine upfront what your policy will be under all and any circumstance pertaining to compensation. It's imperative that you know and believe that you're worth every cent of compensation you earn. And the reason this is so important is when somebody asks you, you need to be able to tell them. If you hesitate, will you reduce your commission? Is 3%, what you charge? Blah, blah. Yes, it is, and here's why. When you begin to hesitate, there's a good chance you're going to lose because they don't feel like you've got your stick in it. What I would encourage you to do is think about it, write it down, get with me or Yona, and just craft that out so that you, not that it should be rote, but it should be pull the string and this is what I'm going to say. Right? This is the answer to that. Concurrently, essentially, your relationship with Rogue is a partnership. Each time commission is reduced, that's your income, the company's gross earnings and stability. Let me just say this though, that's if it's the right business decision, then there are times that you do it. If you really feel like this is a listing that is going to sell quickly and then you're going to get on the business from, and that you've done everything you can to get them to this number, but they're saying, well, no, if you don't reduce it to this, then we're going to go someplace else. Well, we have a conversation about that, and it's a business decision we make in that situation, given those circumstances, right? The one thing I will tell you is that so many people go from 3 to 2, right? You might only have to go from 3 to 2.75, but most people don't do that. Some people are just looking for some free home warranty. I can't reduce the commission, but we'll throw in a free home warranty. That's great for you as a listing because the cover, blah, blah, blah. It comes off the top when it sells, so you're already making the money. There are all sorts of different ways to go about doing it. The one thing that I am, concrete on, if you will, if we're going to reduce that commission, we're not going to penalize the buyer agent. Rogue Wheeler Chart is going to offer 3% out to buyers. Mike works in the Valley a fair amount. It's rampant over there now, where buyer control sales are 2 or 2.5, because they're taking them at 5 and they're splitting it in half. That's a slippery slope that has already happened over there. One of our agents just got burned on that. They got paid the other day, and he said, "Wait, I didn't know. Well, why isn't this 3%?" And I said, "Well, let me just ask you a question. If you can hold my breath, I'm wrong. But look at the MLS. Does it say VA 2.5?" I said, "Man, when you see that, you got to go to them before you ever show the property and say, I worked at 3%."
Do you think there's a bit of a broker's scare of all the alternate solutions there are digitally, socially, and
I do think there's some of that. I think it's lazy. To be perfectly honest, I think people just, I'm going to get this listing and I don't care. I'm going to get this listing and charge less just because
So why would it be running rampant?
Because now everybody's done it. Once they see a couple companies show it, then everybody thinks, well, I can do it too.
Because no one over there knows how to justify the value.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it shows the penalties or the reverse, so they can.
And what's really cool though, on the positive side, is if you can have your standards the right way and list something over there and show 3%, the agents over there, buyer agents are ecstatic.
You know, that they have lots. Yeah, I sold them, we did them all 3%, and I had an agent ask me the last one we sold her, is this correct?
Yeah. I mean, so the other side, you can, the
I
other side, you
recently lost a listing that I thought I was gonna get, and they went with one of these discount brokers.
Well, and the whole system told me,
You get your
It's not
time.
easy to sell, another one.
well, but those are all 1% things.
Yeah. Well, they sold the place in like 3 weeks, but, it was, you know.
But here's the thing, they sold the thing in 3 weeks, but the statistics show, and here's, if you're in that conversation with somebody, what I would do is I'd run the computer, if you don't know how, just ask, Mary or Chris or somebody to show you. Run the computer in regards to list price to sales price with that company. Go in and put in solds for 2018, put that broker code in, and list price to sales price, and you can get a percentage, And in most situations, it's lower. It may be a 95% low, list price to sales price. And say ours is 97.5%. That's 2.5% difference. So in that situation, when you can point that out, you say, look, to save that 1%, you're going to lose 1.75%. Because the average is, they're going to sell your house for 5% less than the value, and we're going to sell it for 2.5% less.
You lost with it.
So instead of saving money, you lost money.
I would love to learn how to do that search.
It's very, very easy to do.
We can show you, or Mary can show you.
And again,
Megan can show you too, by the
interestingly enough,
Megan.
interesting enough, where we're on this piece of paper, this gives you the language, this gives you the dialogue, Michael, on page 78, and this is all the roadmap for success, but asking for commission reduction, these are just different ways of having that conversation in regards to that. The next page is the same. So in summary, you have a prospective client ask you to reduce commission. Mr. and Mrs. Stelly raised an important issue here today, therefore I must ask you 5 questions. The other agents you're interviewing agree to reduce their commission. And we're on an equal basis as far as education, experience, marketing planning, compatibility. Is it safe to presume that you'll choose an agent who reduces their commission? That's where you're getting, again, the ability to be honest. If everything is equal, are you going to choose the agent that is reducing their commission? In that situation, then there may be a reason for doing it. The other thing is some people say, well, reduce commission because I'm going to buy something from you as well. Well, you may do that, but the first thing you do is say they're 2 different transactions. And one of them, you're not paying me. The other seller pays. If you're paying me on both of them, yeah, I get it. On the one, the agent, the other company's paying, the seller's paying the commission. But if for whatever reason you get to the point where you feel like you're going to lose it, because they're going to go with somebody who says, I'll do it for less, and what you do is you get a 6% listing, but in the other terms, you write in, when such and such buys a property through Roy Wheeler and your name. So for whatever reason, something changes and they buy it with somebody else. With Roy Wheeler and your name, a 1% or 0.5% or 1/4% rebate will be paid at the time of the second closing. That way, you've got a 6% listing, you're going to get 3% when they sell. And if for some reason they never buy a house, you didn't reduce your commission.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they buy the second house, then the rebate comes upon the second closing. Mm-hmm. That's how I lay out it.
Yeah.
The next page shows about daring to be great. And this just is kind of a chart in regards to what we've already talked about, SOI, farming, FSBOs, expires, open houses, implementing social media, broken down in daily, weekly, 2 analogies to remember, spiderweb networking, and then plowing the field. You got to prepare it, you got to nurture it, you got to fertilize it, you got to water it, bring things growing there. Process is simple, own your performance, make the corrections, get back to it. Focus plus pride equals success. And after you go through all that, you can fill out this form and give it to me. Same thing when you go to Chris Key's class, you can come out with a business plan. This is all I want back. And I'm going to motivate people to get this into me by January 11th. And in fact, whoever gets this to me by January 11th, we entered into the first people to hear about this. We entered into a drawing for 2 UVA Virginia Tech basketball tickets.
Well, then, stop right there.
This is
We'll
just
start
real.
down
With parking pass, right now, they're on StubHub for $250 each. So that hopefully will motivate people to turn this thing into me.
I'm just gonna take Jimmy Forsley to Jimmy.
Oh,
For
man.
that game.
Did he really already?
I think so, yeah. Rachel doesn't want to go watch it.
And they do
Whoa.
this report on the 12th.
Even though they're ranked 10th in the country?
I think he said he's gonna work
That's
on
right, Tim.
Virginia Tech in basketball.
it. Yeah.
They're the 10th ranked team in the country now.
Early season, right?
They won't rank that high last year when they beat UVA.
Oh, excuse us. Oh, excuse us.
Ooh. I tell you, they did a number on Notre Dame the other night. Won by 15. They're for real, for sure.
Buzz is down now.
So who's-
All right.
who's in the championship?
What's that?
Something is best.
So, I have a question, and this is kind of directed, so I'm happy to deal with this at Keith, the more in depth.
Right.
But being new, I can define what I want, but Feeney will give you how many calls you make, how many Popeyes, you know, and I like that. What it won't tell you is whether it'll create a listing or a sale. So when you start asking that, is there some template that a new agent could use as, here's the, you know, hey, you go out and make 20 calls a week. You may generate this much business, but somebody would have to tell me, well, it's gonna be partial, if, you know, you're gonna get 60% listing side, 40% sales side, right? I mean, I have to have something, I wouldn't be able to predict that. I mean, it's a leap of faith to predict just the income.
Yeah. I think, you know, without having done it, you have to kind of go to the, you know, statistics that show, like National Association of Realtors. And I'll find it for you, so too, but it gives you, if you do this, then this is what you should expect.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
I don't know if you have that in yours. Keith, do you have that in yours?
Yeah, I'm just
But I
looking.
think you were on the right track on the business the last, remember the last business time?
Yeah.
You were on the right track.
I feel comfortable, I've done a lot of business planning in my life, so I feel comfortable with that. And I certainly understand, you know, you start big and work down to the day and all that. But what I wouldn't be able to do is, this is,
Conversion rate.
I can't answer these questions. I mean, that's really what I'm saying. If you said, Bob, how much you want to make, I can tell you that, I can go back to the math. But what I can't say is how many buyer control sales do I expect.
So what I would do in that situation, I'll get you the national statistics. But what I would do beyond that is, okay, I want to make this much money. And in your mind, I want to be more slanted toward listings than sales. And that's how I would create my percentage.
And I'm not being argumentative,
No.
or maybe I am. I really do. I've embraced the Buffini approach of, I've got a contact, I want to be a resource. I don't really care where that takes me.
Right.
So if they.
So then maybe what you do
They
instead,
say you want me to be a buyer's agent, then I'm going to love to be their agent, their children's agent. If they've got an aunt who wants to sell her house, you know, short of wanting to go to the valley and do it for 5%, I'm going to refer that to my pleasure, and take my commission and be thankful. I can go drive over the mountain for a reduced commission, but, at a low average price, but, just kidding. But, you know.
But, so
what's that?
It's money, I'll lose it.
I'm focused on, you know, those contacts and how to serve them properly, and it'll take me where it takes me.
so then what I think I can get you some information to help you with that, and I will. But beyond that, if you know how much money you want to make, and you work the numbers down, then even if you don't give me how many listings, how many buyers, you should know how many deals you expect to
Yeah,
get.
absolutely. I can do that. Yeah,
Just split it in half.
I'm sorry.
Just split it in half.
Well, that's how I
Okay.
started, that's how we
yeah.
started.
Okay, can I save my time next week and?
Take your
I'll get you some information.
You are permitted.
I'm not.
No, that's a great point, and for those who are listening, if you're not comfortable with that, then just figure out the total number or the volume that you expect to do because you want to make this amount of money.
But I think the simplest approach is the newer housing approach. cut it in half.
Right.
That's how I started, cut it in half.
So,
And the ratio, I think what you're alluding to is the conversion ratio. So if I have 10 people that I'm contacting, how many can I expect to go ahead and actually get to a list?
So he was really asking about the percentage. He doesn't have any
Yeah, but
idea of the
Feeney
percentage of
provides
listing and
you
sales.
that.
Yeah, but that's,
And Feeney says, if you want to sell blank,
Yep.
you need, I forget, I told you, it was like some astounding number of
yeah, you do, I
contacts I have to make on an annual basis. And it was good. I mean, I want I want more contact in my life. So it aligns with my personal goal.
Yeah.
But what it doesn't tell me is how many listings.
So he's just talking about, and that's, I guess you're right, because as you get more experience,
And you have.
you begin to see yourself moving in a listing versus, like, again, for me, it's just me. The world has all sorts of different people. I very quickly learned that I didn't want to work with another buyer if I could help. So I became totally about getting listings, because I just would just wake up with a pit in my stomach, knowing these people are going to be in my car for the next 2 days. And this was before buyer agency, so I didn't even have any control over them. They could go do something without me 3 days later, and I'm out. Right.
that's why the fitness was in your spot.
So, but for me personally, I had little kids at that point. I didn't want to spend the whole weekend in the car with buyers if I could. So for me, I said, that means I've got to get 20 listings.
Sure.
So as long as I have the amount of money in the pipeline to make the amount of money I want to make, then I never have to work with another buyer. I'll refer those out to agents and get 25% referrals. And now I'm controlling my time. I can work on listings at night. I can do different things and be at church on Sunday morning with my kids and, do these different times. That was just me. Whereas there are other people that say, if I never see another seller, it'll be too soon. Right?
Then you talk about classic conditioning. So, selling a builder up there, like Brian or Richard and Eric Homes or whatever, it was 65, 70 hours a week. Every weekend, every holiday, never had a day off with my wife in like 6 years unless it was a company-sponsored vacation. Right? So if I gotta go spend 2 hours on a Sunday with someone looking for a house to be in, 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, and then I was only working with buyers anyway, so when I got my license, I just want to coach on buyers. It was the easiest thing for me to do, because I understood them.
Yeah.
And I was working, 40 hours a week instead of, or 30 hours a week instead of like 60 or 70.
And that's what's great.
But as time has gone on, and I've got a little bit more experience, understanding who the heck am I really selling to on the listing side, then more listings are starting to, I'm starting to look at more listings.
that's the key part. That's exactly what it is. I mean, we found out the same thing, and that's why I'm saying cut it in half.
So,
Because you don't know, we still don't know. I mean, we know.
you do.
We still don't know exactly, we know what,
Yeah.
we know what brings us more money.
So we
Where we are
have
profitable, we also know where we are not profitable.
Right.
So,
so we
And that
have,
was the other thing too, is I was, listening to, being new, starting all over, I'm putting money into it before I get anything back.
that's correct.
So you have a tendency to kind of shy away from it because you're gambling on what your true knowledge of how the house is going to be marketed and sold to get your money back. But now it's a little different, so.
so we have a 6-year running spreadsheet that tracks the graph. And it literally, cuts it in half. Maybe like one buyer, more than one list.
And that's random. That's not based on a strategy of yours.
This is just pure.
Random, hey, here are my contacts, I got an open house, person walked in, said they want to buy something, and took them down. And so just through the natural course of events, you find that about half your business.
So I bought all the data at the end of December, so we project what we're doing at the beginning of the year.
That's all.
Splits it right now. You brought it up, so we finished. So, the second thing is I would encourage you to spend a lot of time on Paragon, right? And look at what's selling, what's pending, projecting where the market's going to go. The third thing is, we have a bit of a disagreement about this. I see the market going away from sellers to the buyer's market right now. I think the market is neutral at the moment, which is indicating that we're swinging. And I think we're going away from a seller's market into a buyer's market. And I think that is going to take about 12 months to cycle itself through. But eventually, we're going to get on the other side of it, that there's going to be more buyers than sellers. So when you're writing your plan, not only do you have to think about what you want to do, but where the market is going, and how am I going to fit in that? Because we still need to pay our mortgage and we still need to do our thing. So that's a little bit what we're going to talk about, which I'm sure Michael's been going over, and thank you for reminding me what I have to cover next week. Appreciate it.
But you still need sellers in the fire.
Is it the same time
That's how I
slot,
feel.
9:30?
9 to 12, it is not here.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We already have 15 people signed up.
Where's that?
How much is it?
So you signed in, you know where it's at. Yes, you did, you said you're going. And I e-bike, you said, here you go.
Oh, that's right, yeah, yeah. That thing.
Is there a sign-up sheet for that inside?
There is not